We're living in a time where people are more depressed than ever before, and a lot of it has to do with social media. So in this video, we're gonna discuss some of the research behind that, as well as some solutions to get you over that depression. What's up, everybody? This is Chris from the Rewired Soul, where we talk about the problem, but we focus on the solution. And today, the problem we are going to talk about is social media. You may have heard that social media leads to depression, but why is that? There's a lot of research out there, and today we're going to discuss that. But here at the Rewired Soul, we're focused on the solution. The first thing I want to make very, very, very clear, so you know where this video is going, in no way, shape, or form am I telling anybody to get off of social media. I think that that's ridiculous. I don't think people should do it. I can do a whole nother video about that, and I probably will. But deleting your social media accounts is not really getting down to the root of the problem. With or without social media, you're still going to have a lot of these problems. So let's discuss what's going on. So I'm going to put a link in the description below to an article from Psychology Today. So they did an article discussing some research that was done, and here are some snippets from it. A new systematic review by researchers in the United Kingdom distills the evidence on the connection between social media and depression. Clinical psychologists at Lancaster University reviewed nearly 800 articles and selected 30 with the strongest methodologies. They examined data that included more than 35,000 participants between the ages of 15 and 88 from 14 countries. So the first thing that I want to make clear is that it's important that we talk about that this is like some legit research, because they had tens of thousands of participants that they're pulling data from. So this isn't just some like cockamamie study that they did and they're just trying to fool you with the numbers. This was actually done on a very large population. So the next part I want to read to you is, which is the first reason why social media is leading to your depression, which says their review found that study participants were more likely to feel depressed when they spent time comparing themselves to others on social media. Research shows that these comparisons lead to rumination or continuously thinking about negative social interactions. So let's talk about that for a second. When you're on social media and you're going through, whether it be Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube, it has the ability to lead to negative thoughts and a lot of unfair comparisons between you and what you're seeing. So, for example, when you're on YouTube and you're watching people like Jake Paul riding around on jet skis or in his mansion or whatever it is, or his brother Logan Paul getting chased by millions of fans, and you're just like, what is going on with my life? But more so, even if you're not watching those YouTubers, the biggest ones right now, going through Instagram, seeing your friends, going through Facebook, seeing them. And what happens is that when you're in depression likes to feed off of itself. So what that means is when you're depressed, all you can do is see the negative. And we're constantly comparing ourselves to others. It's very hard when you're depressed and going through social media to really sit back and realize that all you're seeing is the positive things when you're going through it. Like, put it into perspective real quick. How many times do people actually post a picture on Facebook or Instagram where they're showing their struggles, where they're showing how difficult life is, where they post how they're paying bills or how they're single, right? And usually if they do, it's kind of in a lighthearted way, and you might look at them and say, oh, well, Sally over there is posting about how she's single and enjoying life, but me, I'm just gonna be alone forever. Why can't I think like that? That's that voice of depression sneaking in. And this is something that we do constantly. I can give you my personal experience with this. When I was deep and dark in my depression, I'm not even kidding, and a lot of people laugh at me for doing this, but this is what I did. And it's because some of us, like when we're depressed, we just want to fuel it even more. I live in Las Vegas, and in my depression, I used to drive around to the richest neighborhoods and just go past these houses and just think about what a loser I was and how I wasn't successful, and just really just beat myself up. But it was the same idea. I was sitting there comparing myself to all these other people. Now, because we're the Rewired Soul and we talk about the solution, the first part of the solution is identifying what's happening. One of the best things that I ever heard early on when I was working on my depression was, you need to quit comparing your insides to other people's outsides. And that's very true. When you're looking at everybody's outsides and then looking at yourself inside, that fuels your depression. It fuels this crazy thing up here. So remember, and I hate to use this as an example, but it's proof. We see successful celebrities committing suicide or talking about depression. And remember that no matter what you're seeing, everybody has their struggles. But like I said, a lot of people aren't posting that, and we need to remember that. So just to give you an example about my life and why I'm such a firm believer in finding true happiness despite your circumstances is because I can sit here and I'm not a millionaire. I'm making no money off of YouTube, and I do these because my happiness comes from helping people. My happiness comes from my son. My happiness comes from my cat, from my girlfriend, from my friends, from my family. All these people, they are my happiness. I'm not sitting here living in a mansion. As you can see, I'm sitting here in my apartment, and it's not like in the best neighborhood, but it's enough for me. See, I always thought that I needed to have money. I needed to have nice things. I needed to have all these things to be happy. But that's a false idea that a lot of us create in our heads. So the goal should be to find that happiness regardless of how much money you have, or if you're having the best day ever every single day. Because when you're looking at social media, a lot of the times you're just seeing people at their best rather than their worst. So part of the solution is just identifying that trap of depression that you're getting yourself into when you start comparing your life to what you're seeing on social media. Once you can do that, you can start browsing social media without fueling that depression. And although I said I'm not a guy who will tell you to quit social media because of depression, I will say that if you're in a deep, dark depression and you cannot avoid seeing those things and chasing those thoughts, maybe take a little bit of a break, whether it's for an hour, whether it's for a day, whatever you gotta do. Now, reason number 2, people are depressed because of social media. We're gonna flip the script real quick. One of the main reasons people are depressed because of social media is because they are putting on a facade. And this is also important for that first segment. What you need to realize is there are a lot of people who are struggling, who are dealing with the stresses of life, the tragedy of life, the sadness of life. They might be dealing with a very toxic relationship. They might be dealing with a horrible life at home with their family or their roommates or whoever it is. But on social media, we keep posting all these good things, and that is the lie that we're presenting to the rest of the world. And because of this lie, we actually get depressed because deep in our subconscious, we know it's not true. So although I'm showing everybody, look at me and my girlfriend, we're so happy together, yay! In reality, when I'm not snapping those photos to put on Instagram or Facebook, me and my girlfriend are fighting all the time. Or I'm showing you me and my family and hey, look, we're all together on Thanksgiving, this is great. But right after that camera snaps that picture, we're all back to fighting and hating each other. So we need to remember that if we're going through a tough time, we don't need to put on this mask on social media and show everybody, hey, everything's going great for me. Because what it's doing is that we're masking the issue and we're never dealing with it, and it's putting us deeper and deeper into a depression. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go on there and blast to the world that you are struggling or you're having relationship problems or your family's going crazy or driving you crazy. I'm not saying you have to do those things, but you don't have to post anything at all because it's fueling your depression. You can be real with yourself, and I'm not saying don't go out and have a good time with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband or your wife or your family. I'm not saying that. But just like I said, part of the solution for the first reason is the same with this one, is acknowledging it. Open up, talk to friends and family. Discuss the struggles that you're going through and be real with them. Because when your feelings aren't being felt and you start presenting that lie on social media, it's eating you up inside. And what eventually happens is, as that glass begins to fill up inside of you, it starts to overflow, and then you hit this really deep depression that you weren't expecting because you've been ducking and dodging the real issue for so long. So like I said, you don't have to blast all of your dirty laundry out on social media, but you don't have to put on that facade either. You can be real with yourself. You can be real with the people around you. If you are having a good time out, go ahead and do it. But don't ever think that you have to have these perfect photo opportunities so everybody out there in social media land thinks that you're living this amazing life. It's okay to just not post anything if you're having a hard time. If you're out with friends and you're kind of bummed out, you don't have to put on that fake smile and show everybody on social media. Because remember, going back to reason number one, that might actually be fueling somebody else's depression, whereas you could have just opened up to that friend and they might say, oh my God, so you are dealing with it too. So am I. That's cool. Let's talk about it. Let's get through this together. So, like I said, I just want you all to recognize, be mindful, if you will, of these issues with social media, because social media is not going away. Social media is an amazing thing. We're able to stay connected with friends and family members, people from high school, from middle school. We're able to get linked up with new friends, all sorts of things. Social media is a beautiful thing, but it's important to recognize these issues so we don't fall into that depression trap. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with somebody you know who might need to hear this stuff. And if you're new here, don't forget to click right below this box, hit that subscribe button. And this is Chris from the Rewired Soul, where we're always talking about mental health. We're talking about addiction. We're talking about all the crazy stuff that goes on up here. So make sure that you subscribe. All right, and I'll see you next time.